book, get a hot drink, and we're just gonna have a fun fall cozy night together. Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mar, and this week's video is a very exciting video because it is the first video being filmed in front of my new bookshelf, which I'm so excited about, which I love. And if you haven't watched last week's video, you get to see the behind the scenes process of my bookshelf reorganizing and all of that. But for this week's video, I really just wanted to take you guys through my cozy fall night routine. Today I ended up working earlier this morning, so I worked from 7 till 3 p.m. and so right now it is currently like 4:30ish, and I've already kind of gotten settled for the night and all that, so I thought I would take you through my fall book reading routine, I guess, because as of right now, I have read 84 books this year, and my goal is 100, and so I am currently on track with my goal, depending on how my momentum carries. But as the year's getting busier, especially for me and my work and my job, it's really hard to find that momentum of wanting to continue to read. So I thought I would take you through my night and kind of how I just find time to read, especially on days when I'm tired and all of that. Luckily for today, because I worked earlier, I have more of my night back and all of that. And so, yeah, without further ado, I want to take you through kind of my chill, cozy night. Luckily, my bedroom is clean and all of that. And so, really, I've just set myself up to just chill in bed and read or chill in my room. I also ended up getting a vanity, and so I'm kind of using this vanity as like also a makeshift desk. Even though I have a desk in my other room, it gives a very different vibe. Without further ado, let's get on to what I'm going to be reading for this vlog. So for this vlog, I'm going to be reading Fairydale by Veronica Lancet, and this is one of the first, like, I would say big fantasy books that I've opened up this year. For some reason, I just haven't really been in a huge like fantasy mood and all of that, but I've heard good things about Fairydale, and so I really wanted to jump into this book back in October, but I just didn't have time, so now it's my November read, and I am at chapter 4 right now, and so far I've been really liking it. And what I've tried to do this year as well with my reading is really be intentional with what I'm reading and actually like interact with the text more and really learn and really try to absorb what I've been reading, because I feel like, especially when you read for entertainment, it's so easy to read a book and then when you finish it, it's easy for you to forget. And so for me, I really wanted to annotate this one just because it's so big. And I feel like, I've heard for this one that this book does try its best to confuse you. And so I just really want to read this very intentionally and absorb every detail that the author has given us in this book. And so, yeah, I'm on chapter 4 and I have been annotating it. And so when it comes to annotations now, I'm trying less to be aesthetic and more so just annotate based off of how I'm feeling and how I interact with the text. So underline quotes that really jump out to me, underline quotes that I think will be important later on in the future, because I feel like usually when I annotate books on the second reread. And so when I annotate books on a second reread, I can go in and be more thoughtful in what quotes I'm highlighting, what quotes I'm underlying and all that. But the thing is, doing that takes so much time, and it's time I unfortunately don't have. So a lot of the times when I'm rereading books, I'm rereading my favorite ones or ones that I truly do want to annotate. But for this one, because it's my first read and also because there's so many pages in this book, like this is a 700-page book, there's probably not going to be an opportunity for me to reread this in the near future. I decided to just continue to annotate this and all of that on my first read. I'm not really annotating how I normally annotate. I'm not necessarily going to walk you through how I'm annotating this book, but I will film myself annotating this. And yeah, I feel like sometimes with annotating, it feels like there's a lot of rules that need to be in place when you're doing it, or especially when you're first starting. It does look a lot intimidating, or it can seem very intimidating, especially, the idea of writing in a book and all of that feels like you're ruining it. But I feel like especially when you're a fast reader like me, it really makes me read more intentionally and more thoughtfully than if I'm just passively interacting with the text, if that makes sense. So, yeah, I'm gonna get started on reading the next few chapters of Fairydale. These chapters are a bit longer, and so that also helps me to slow down my reading because I'm someone who definitely likes short chapters a lot better because it feels like you're progressing a lot more. But with long chapters, sometimes it's fine. Those are my first few thoughts on Fairydale, or how I'm reading Fairydale so far. I literally have not told you the plot of this or anything, but I think I'm going to try and read some of this before Dancing with the Stars starts because I am also going to be watching Dancing with the Stars this night. I believe it is rock and roll night, and so also Dancing with the Stars is like one of my favorite shows right now. I just think it's so addicting to watch and all of that. And so, yeah, but that is kind of the first introduction to what we're going to be doing this cozy fall night. And maybe we'll drink some hot chocolate, maybe we'll eat something. But for right now, that is kind of the vibes of this night. So come with me, open your book, get a hot drink, and we're just gonna have a fun fall cozy night together. I literally just lost my pencil, or my pen. I don't know if this was the pen I've been using so far or not, but I cannot find my other black pen, my other black Muji pen, so... It's currently 6 o'clock, and Dancing with the Stars is literally on. I made it to page 79, and I started on page 53? Yeah, or 52, so I've read 27 pages, which honestly is pretty good considering how small this text is and how big this book is, and so that was, I would say, 30 minutes of reading. I'm just gonna watch a bit of Dancing with the Stars, and then I will update you when I update you. I decided to make some food because your girl was hungry, your girl feels a bit snacky, and also I didn't eat a lot for dinner. So just heated up some fried rice made by my grandma, and yeah, currently watching Dancing with the Stars. It's like the last 5 minutes of the show, so results are gonna happen like real soon. I don't know who's gonna go home. I will check in with you guys later in the night to just finish off this cozy little vlog. They just announced who's going home. Okay, like, I get that Andy has a strong fan base, but I fear it may be too strong, cause what? Anyways, I just had to come on here and say it, but what? Anyways, I'm going to continue reading Fairydale. I just realized that this book is split into parts, so I'm gonna try and get to part 2 by the end of this night, which is like, I have this much to get through. Oh, that's doable. That is doable in a night. I will let you know my thoughts on how I feel about this book once I get to this point, but let's leave it there. Now I am set up in my bed for the night, and I think I'm just going to listen to some gothic, like, ambience for the rest of the night to get back into the mood of reading this, and then I'm going to try to get through as much of this as I can and then share my thoughts with you by the time I get to part 2, and we'll see how far I get before I start to get sleepy. But I am very excited to continue. Hey guys, so I have been reading for about an hour and I finally made it to part 2, but I thought this would be a good place to stop and just kind of talk about this book because I don't know if I'm actually going to be doing a reading vlog of this one because it's so big and I don't really know my filming schedule for this week. But I thought I would just sit here and we can just talk about this book and what it's about and how I'm feeling about it, right? This book is pretty much about this woman, this girl named Darcy O'Sullivan. She's living in Boston, Massachusetts in the 1950s. Pretty much she's lived her life as an orphan, and all of a sudden she gets this letter that states that her birth father has passed away and she needs to come to his hometown of Fairydale for the funeral, and that she's a part of his will and all of that. And so pretty much Fairydale is this mysterious place in Massachusetts that not a lot of people know about, and everything about this town is very mysterious and unknown. And pretty much Darcy ends up going to Fairydale and she meets a lot of people and a lot of individuals, some of them being her father's family, some of the people being her half siblings, and then there's the families of the notable people who sort of found the town or, were the first ones that moved into this town after this plague and all of that. And pretty much during Darcy's time in Fairydale, weird stuff is happening. She's having hallucinations. She thinks, she's meeting a lot of interesting characters. There are a lot of, weird things that have happened, to her, and she's trying to differentiate what's real, what's not, and the other characters are also kind of trying to suss her out and figure out what she's all about. And so pretty much this whole sort of first part of it, there's a lot of weird stuff happening, and you as the reader are also trying to figure out sort of what's real and what's not and all of that, and kind of what's happening in this town and why is it so weird. It's very like Alice in Wonderland-esque type of vibes, but more gothic, I would say. So overall, I have actually like been thoroughly enjoying reading this. I think it is a very different type of genre vibe of book. I haven't read too many books like this before, and so jumping into it has been really fun. And it's nice to kind of read a different genre and all of that. And I believe this is Veronica Lancet's debut novel. I'm not necessarily sure if this is a debut novel or one of her first novels. I don't know, but I definitely do see that she is a bit of a newer writer when it comes to like this being published and all that, because I feel like there are a lot of things already that could have been cut. And I feel like there's a lot of kind of repetition happening in this book. But at the same time, I understand why a lot of people find this book fascinating to read and all that, because especially if you're looking for a more so gothic fantasy book that has a lot of yearning, I would say this is the book for you. A lot of the main characters, or the male main characters that are introduced in this book, definitely are groveling over some of these characters in this book. It's an interesting read, and there's definitely a lot of yearning and a lot of tension and a lot of that type of romance in this book. So if you're looking for a book with a lot of yearning, I would definitely recommend this, because there's been a ton of it so far. I think the concept of Fairydale is very interesting, especially if you kind of like those mystery type vibes, and you like reading books that kind of confuse you, because I believe like a big part of this book as well is that it's meant to confuse you. And so that's what I like about it. But at the same time, I think I ran into a spoiler while I was researching what this book was about. I was on Pinterest and I was just trying to get a vibe of the aesthetic. And I think I ended up seeing a spoiler on there, because, and it is a big one that has not been addressed in this book yet. So I feel like because I know that one spoiler, I I'm not as confused going into this book, because I feel like I know where we are and what the twist is. But at the same time, there are still things that I'm just like, that's interesting, that's weird, I don't know what to think of this. But at the same time, like, I'm still enjoying the ride. And so, even knowing that spoiler, I feel like if I didn't know it, I would be more confused. But because I saw the spoiler, I'm not as confused. Those are kind of my initial thoughts on Fairydale. I definitely think it's an interesting book. And do I think it needs to be 700 pages long? I'm not necessarily sure. I also still don't know what direction we're going to go in. We've been introduced to a lot of characters, and the thing is, like, some of them only show up in like one chapter, and then we haven't seen them since, and that's kind of concerning to me. So I'm kind of like, where are these characters? Are we going to learn more of them, or were they just there for plot convenience and all that? So yeah, the farther I go into this book, again, the more like the better judgment I'll have about how I feel about this book. But for the first like 20% of this book, I've been enjoying it so far. So yeah, again, I don't know if I'm going to be doing an entire reading vlog of this book. Those are my initial thoughts for this specific book vlog. With that being said, it is currently only, I think it's only like 9:45, but I am tired. I did wake up very early this morning to work, so I think I am going to call it a night. But thank you so much for coming along with me as we do this, cozy reading vlog, I guess, and let me know if you want me to do more of these videos or some annotation videos or whatever. Yeah, I just wanted to do a video like this while I, had time, and, you know, time to relax and unwind, because I feel like, especially once you start working, it's hard to make time for the things that you love. And so reading is so important to me that I always want to try and read as much as I can in the free time I have. And so tonight was a night that I did have free time. And so, yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know if you read the book Fairydale, what your opinions of it are. Also, if you have any like books that fit the November vibes and all of that, feel free to let me know as well. But yeah, thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!